Mr. Newman, did the Biden administration improve the immigration system and border security?
I think the stats show no. I mean, we've got a non-detained...
That whole conversation just took place sounded like a bunch of nonsense to me.
Yeah, same.
Certainly 77 million Americans don't believe what they just heard from Mr. Raskin and the Democrat witness. Ms. Vaughn, did the Biden administration improve the immigration system and border security?
No, the Biden administration dismantled the controls, guardrails, limits, and turned programs into purposes for which they were never intended.
Every community on the border knows they did it. Yeah, we just had a 5-minute conversation. Oh, well, things are just wonderful. Joe Biden was the greatest. Mr. Fabricatore, you've been out on the front lines. You've dealt with this. Did the Biden administration improve the immigration system and border security?
No, we have more illegal alien criminals on the street today because of the Biden administration.
Yeah, they're trying to say, don't believe your lying eyes. Of course we know it's gotten worse. Earlier, Mr. Newman, you said, I think you said, the Biden administration invited the crisis. I think you're being nice when you use the word invited. I think they intentionally, deliberately, what's my opening statement, willfully created the crisis. And I want to know, why would they do that? Why would an administration deliberately create the chaos we have seen? Upwards of 10 million people coming in the country. These border communities, it's interesting, these border communities, that's been the biggest change in voting Democrat to voting Republican has taken place in those communities because they've felt it firsthand. We were in Yuma, Mr. Biggs brought this up. We were in Yuma, Arizona. The cost to the education system, the healthcare system, the public services in those communities, unbelievable. So why would they intentionally? Why would they do this? That's what I've been trying to figure out. Why would an administration say we're going to deliberately create the chaos that 77 million Americans, I think all Americans know, has taken place over the last 4 years?
I can't pretend to know the motive of the administration, but what
I'm asking you to hazard a guess as an expert in this area.
Looking at what they've done and looking at the policies, what's very clear is that there's been an intentional desire to get as many people into the country as possible and keep them here.
Ms. Vaughn, can you take a run at that question? Why would they do it? I think all kinds of Americans are asked that question. Why would our government do this to our nation?
Because they don't want any limits on immigration and because no one could stop them.
Mr. Fabricatore?
There was a definite open border agenda at the last 4 years, and that is exactly the way that I see it.
You think there's, again, hazard a guess at the motivation. What do you think the motivation is?
You know, it's hard to guess at allowing so many illegal aliens to enter into the United States. It's something that when you actually look at it and you look at the numbers, it's unfathomable to even think that many people were allowed. The gotaways, the 2 million gotaways that were allowed in this country, that we have no idea who they are. To me, I have no idea why they would allow that to happen. I
don't get it either, particularly when you think about what happens to kids on this journey when they come to the country, what happens to women, the terrible things that take. I don't get it. And for them to try to say it was wonderful and it was an improvement, I don't get that either, because nobody believes that. I think earlier the ranking member said the asylum system was overwhelmed during the Biden administration. Why was it overwhelmed? Because they just opened everything up. No wall, no way, remain in Mexico. And when you get here, as you pointed out in your testimony, Mr. Fabricatore, you won't be detained, you'll be released. Now, what do we have to do to fix it? Mr. Fabricatore, a guy who's on the front lines, what do we have to do to fix it?
Number one, we need to make sure that we're giving the money to, especially enforcement removal operations, to go out and arrest, detain, and remove illegal aliens. That's the bottom line of what we have to do. We have to say, this is a situation that we have. We need to put money toward this so that we can be effective.
Once you start repatriating, once you start removing individuals who came here illegally, that's going to send a message. That's going to create an incentive I think in the right way. Because right now all the incentives are the wrong way.
Yes.
No wall, no wait, and you won't be detained. Everyone comes. So you got to change those incentives. That will start to do that.
It absolutely will. Letting the men and women know of ICE, of ERO, that they have your backing and they can go out on the street and actually enforce the immigration law. That's all that they're asking to do. That's what President Trump wants to do. Yep. He wants to make sure that we go out and the immigration law is actually enforced.
15 seconds, Mr. Newman. I'll give you the last 15.
Yeah, but it's that. You have to fund the resources for ICE to get the job done. You have to show to people in this country illegally that you could be caught and you could be sent home.
Well, this committee is committed to helping the administration have the resources to enforce the law and fix the problem. I yield back to the chairman.
Ms. Crockett.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I am going to try to get through a lot quickly. As one of the few people sitting on the dais who actually practice criminal law in the state of Texas, as well as licensed in Arkansas and practice there, as well as federal courts, one of the things that you said earlier, Mr. Beer, really stuck with me, is that there are already laws on the books as it relates to those violent criminals. And I know this because even though I hail from the great city of Dallas, I can tell you that when someone would come in and they were being held in custody for, say, a crime, they also had an ICE hold, okay? And that was for those that had maybe been deported before and had re-entered illegally and things like that. And so no matter what type of city you're in, I do want to be clear, federal law already, no matter if it's under the Biden administration or if it's under a Republican administration, we all agree that we want to be safe. And I think that's the first premise that we're losing, because there isn't something that is tatted on my head that says that I'm a Democrat and therefore you illegal bad person, don't come for me, go for the ones that have the R's on their forehead. Now let me be clear about this as well, because we've talked about crime and we've talked about fentanyl specifically, and this is also something that I have dealt with, unlike some of my other colleagues. And listen, I'm going to be honest, because I actually want to fix problems. And I actually have a really good senator in Texas, and I'm sure y'all can guess which one is the good one. But let me tell you, if we care about fentanyl, I have multiple bills for that. I started on the state level before everybody started talking about it, and I have federal bills that my senior senator has signed on to. So I welcome my colleagues because I actually want to make sure that my communities are safe. But as we start to talk about crime and statistics, Mr. Beer, I want to play a little game with you. It's called rhetoric versus reality. And so I want to ask you, my first question, is this rhetoric or reality? Immigrants commit more crimes than U.S. citizens.
On a per capita basis?
Rhetoric or reality?
Oh, it is rhetoric.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to enter into the record this article, which states that undocumented immigrant offending rate lower than U.S.-born citizen rate, and this is from nij.ojp.gov.
Without objection.
Thank you so much. The next one, immigrants are just living off the federal government and contribute nothing.
That would be rhetoric.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Chair, I would ask unanimous consent to enter study that says undocumented immigrants pay almost $100 billion in taxes. This is from the Alabama Reflector.
Without objection.
Thank you so much. My final rhetoric or reality question is immigrants only enter at the southern border.
Rhetoric.
Okay, right, because they enter all kinds of ways. I just wanted to make sure that I put that out there. In fact, I have a few more questions because I still got a little bit of time, which I usually run out of time. We have talked again about crime, and there's been this overemphasis on it. And honestly, I can tell you that I don't want anyone to be killed, whether it's here or anywhere else. There is nothing about me as the child of a preacher that makes me say that I want people to die, okay? So I feel as if my colleagues from across the aisle have decided that they are going to make immigrants the boogeyman. It's insanity to me, but they also are showing compassion for victims, which they should, but they have no compassion for people that are contributing to making us great in this country. So interestingly enough, I'm curious to know, Mr. Beer, if you know if immigrants contributed to these particular crimes. There was a mass shooting in Buffalo, New York that killed a number of African Americans as they were trying to shop for groceries. Was the defendant an immigrant in that case? Do you know?
No, he was a U.S.-born citizen.
Thank you so much. Charleston, South Carolina, there were black churchgoers trying to praise the Lord. They were killed. Was that an immigrant that perpetrated that or not?
No, that was a U.S.-born citizen.
Thank you so much. Now, coming home to Texas, there was an El Paso shooting. Do you know if that was an immigrant or not?
No, they were targeting immigrants in that case.
In fact, each of these cases, it was white supremacists. And so the last unanimous consent that I'd asked for is this article that states that white supremacists behind over 80% of extremism-related U.S. murders in 2022.
Without objection.
Thank you so much.
Gentlelady's time has expired.